Hey guys, what's up? This is Alish and welcome to the Refrag Academy. This is the advanced version of how to play your spot on CT side Anubis. And let's get into all the little fun things that you can do. So towards the B site, this is kind of how I was talking about. This is a very difficult spot. The main goal of you on your position at B, whether you're the E-box guy or the B main guy, is to save your utility as much as possible. In CSGO, there used to be a way that you could jump spot kind of safely here. You can still kind of do it, but it's definitely a little bit riskier. But this is kind of one of your options that you do have. And your main goal, kind of like I was saying, you're going to feel a lot of pressure in the beginning of these games, especially depending on the team that you're playing. They're going to be peeking B main on you, everything. So you want to stop that as much as possible. And the ways that you stop that is pretty much bringing your opera over, and he can play any of these spots here, being close. He can post up on this angle here with his op. He can be at Palace with his op. There's literally you just pick a spot and you just kill them instantly. And the other players, so the two other guys, are just there to support whatever he needs. So if if he's opping towards this spot here and he takes a shot, he's usually going to be feeling a lot of pressure, so he's going to be smoking himself out. He's probably going to want you to throw like a flash if you're playing on this side. Just make sure that he's not dying is your main objective here. The other ways is kind of how I was saying before, where you both kind of play double on the left side, and this can definitely get really tricky here, so you kind of have to feel out exactly how your opponents are playing. There's definitely a lot of different options, but kind of letting the T's do their own peaks, and if it does seem like there's any indication where the T's are already pushed up canals and they're mauling this off, you usually want to smoke off one of them. So you're either going to smoke them back off here as the E-box guy, or you're going to smoke them off B main. And when you do this, you're pretty much giving yourself an opportunity to shut down one of the spots temporarily. Of course, they can always pop through it, but you can only do so much. You have to do something, and that thing is smoking off one of the choke points and then both double focusing on the other choke point. And you're usually going to want to do this by asking whether it's your mid rifler or your mid opera to come towards B as you smoke off either B main or E box. So whichever one you choose, you're kind of going to either want to aggress through that smoke, which is definitely an option, or you can go to the other one that's open. So your third B guy comes over and he just does the flash over towards B main, and you guys can just both double swing here and clear this whole entire position out. And depending on what time it is in the round, you can either have one guy keep going, or you can just have him like stay here, and you have so much information. If you don't see someone towards B at that point in the round when you regress, most likely he's just not going to be there at all, and they're going to be ending the round towards mid or B, which is really good information for you. One of the main things that can go wrong when you're going to peek B main is if you smoked this earlier, then the chances for the T to be on the left here is going to be extremely high. And one of the main ways that you can deal with that is you just don't regress this position if you have no way to clear it, or you just simply hard clear it with the flash. So if you know that he can be there, you just get close, ask for the flash, and then you just kill him if you know he's there for sure. Or you can always just Molotov it as well. You can just throw like a Molotov like off the right side and just completely know he's not there. And if you think all of that is clear, then the only other things that could be going wrong is if these guys are kind of just killing you for over aggressing at B main. This is just kind of the risk that you have to take on Anubis. You have to get information somewhere. So depending on how it was going in the round, you kind of have to determine if this was the best spot to find information at. One of the other aggressions that you could do towards B is when you resmoke B main and they already took E-box. So this is kind of in a situation where you're getting pressured at E-box and you're getting pressured B main. You choose to smoke off B main, and after this molly is gone, you have both of your plays, maybe one guy here, just making sure that he's not here, and one guy at the back, and you guys are just double swinging and you're just double clearing this. You can also have one of your teammates here. As soon as you clear it, you can just both double flash, or just one flash here, just one flash, just come out and just get all of this information and see if anyone's peeking. And this is something you're mainly going to want to do in the mid round, because a lot of times the T's will have an op that's posted up, just something we kind of talked about in the T side defaults. So if you do this too early and the op is still focused on E-box, then you probably did this way too early, because mid-round operas aren't here a lot of the time. Obviously they can be, and that's just kind of unlucky. Kind of the same situation as B main, where if they are all here, then you kind of had to read the round a little bit better and find information somewhere else that was less risky, and then you should have stayed a little bit more passive towards B. Moving on towards the middle part of the map, so some of the aggressions that you have here are not very easy. I'd say they're all very risky, where if you wanted to do the smoke bridge, so like I was saying before in the more basic version of the defaults, is you're either going to smoke or molly, and whenever you smoke, you can have this gap where you can peek towards McDonald's. That's what we call it, McDonald's, golden arches. And you can always kind of get punished by the T's spamming the smoke. So this is something that like people use a lot in the beginning of Anubis, and sometimes the other team wasn't ready for it. But you kind of have to feel it out where you're conditioning that you can go for this gap peek, and the times that you do is when the T was kind of lazy about spamming about it. But a lot of times it's kind of hard to do something super aggressive here. You could do mid pushes where like you're just smoking like off the gap really fast, and your B player is throwing like these flashes over mid, and you have like a third player, or sorry, your fourth player would be here, so you're just like throwing a flash like on the left, and you have 3 rushing mid. So you would have one guy just throwing this smoke, 2 guys following him up, running through, and you're just actually pushing. This is one of like the main like aggressions mid that people do. But in general, your role as like the 2 mid guys is to figure out the best times for you to play double mid, and figuring out the best times for you to use your utility. So kind of as I was saying before, you are always going to have 2 nade sets at mid, or at least you should. You should always try to get somebody that's throwing another nade set, or dropping another nade set for your mid player, so the mid player can freely throw a molly, kind of feel out what's happening, make sure that he can punish. Sometimes I like to hold an HE, so if they do smoke out the molly, I can just nade right on them. So if you did smoke that out, you're just going to die. And then you want to be timing your smoke where you're getting the max amount of value, which is kind of like a very common theme on this map, where I mean any map really, but it's even more important on Anubis because of how small it is, that you're getting as much value out of your smokes as you can. So if you don't think they're going fast mid, or you haven't been feeling that pressure, try to get like an extra couple seconds when you smoke close mid here. And if you want to actually play for mid, then I think that playing, op setup anywhere here, and the rifler just playing close so he's not actually getting ticked by this Molotov is super good. Or the rifler can just simply smoke out the Molotov and you put it into this corner here, so the opper gets like a free shot. Depending on how the smoke is going to be blooming before he's actually going to get pushed off. After that, if you're not going to be fighting for mid or for this door area, the main thing that you're going to be doing is using your second nade set to the best of your ability. So as the mid player, if you're not actually going to be playing for mid, you're going to see T's, they're going to smoke this, and they're going to molly that, and you're going to have to be careful of the T's phasing this smoke, or they'll just walk through on this side here. So when the smoke phases, you actually don't know if you were jiggling here. So if you're just jiggling like this, then you won't know exactly that he's on the right already. So this is something that you're gonna have to watch out for. And usually what I like to do, if I think that can be possible, is I just give it up. I'll just go and I'll play with my A player. And this is kind of what I was talking about before, where the A player and the mid player, especially when you're playing 3B, have to be playing together and on the same page. So it's kind of very similar to Cash, where you're either playing for A main or you're playing for mid, and you kind of have to choose like which one you want to play for. And right now on this map, as soon as you lose this door control, where you're either door or house, as soon as you lose this, you have to choose, are you going to play for A main, or are you going to play to like refight into mid? That's kind of like the mentality that you should be having. So if your A guy knows for sure that there's nothing happening, maybe he like smoked this, or there's also a retake smoke that you can throw from this side here that just smokes all of A main, and you can molly it back, and then you two would just be like going together, making sure this is clear. And then as the mid player, you're kind of just like jiggling, seeing if anyone's there, or you can even do it from this position, and as soon as they start trying to split, you can just smoke it off, and you can just kind of kill them running through the smoke. So these are kind of like your main options as your mid guy. You're working together. As soon as you lose mid, you're working together to either play for mid again and like fight for it, or you're playing for A main and you're pushing this together, and you're telling the rest of your team, hey guys, like we're out of nades, we're in trouble. And that's when they know that they have to do something as well. Moving on to the A guy, you're pretty much going to be wanting to do the same thing I said in the other video, where you're going to be mauling outside of A main so you know that they're not pushing. You could also be listening for information and seeing if they're rushing. But some of the things that are more fun to do is doing A main setups, which this is what you can do with your opper. You as the rifler can just run up super close here, and you can make it before the T's. Either you can be anti already, or if you think they're not going to flash, you can obviously be looking. But if you have a teammate here, you should probably be anti, especially if he's an opper. So you'd have your opper just posted up on this angle. He takes a shot, and then you just like kill the next guys, which is a very nice setup. You could have a similar way where you start the round coming into this corner, and you're also anti again, and you have your opper that's posted on anyone that's going to be pushing up. And you can also go into these setups mid round. So let's just say that you lost control at mid, and your mid player is saying like, hey guys, they could be mid, can we get into A main? And if your opper started A, which he definitely can, if he started A, then you as the rifler at A can start walking in, and you can just do these clears and get back into any of these positions mid round, which is super strong. And if you ever have to find find information. Maybe your B guys run out of utility, and your opper just keeps walking you more and more. So he kind of gets posted up on this angle, and as a rifler, you're just gonna keep going, and you're gonna just see if they're outside of A main. And if you see that they're not here, then you probably get the flank kill on them, going E box and splitting on your B guys. So you as the A guy, and if you're playing B, you have to really pay attention to when things are going on at mid, B, and A. The map is so close together. They are kind of telling exactly what they're doing based off of, are the T's taking A main control? Are they pressuring E box? Did they take this? And these types of positions that the T's are taking are going to be giving you the cue of whether you're going to be using your utility or you're going to be finding info mid-round. Those are the main takeaways that you should be getting for the intricate details of CT side Anubis. There's definitely a lot of things that you can be doing, and I hope that this kind of helped you guys out. Make sure you watch more Refrag Academy videos, and see you on the next one.